Hello, my name is General Caramello, Lieutenant Twix, Colonel 100 Grand, thank you for being here. Today marks the end of our great and long Caramel War. 7 meals ago our appetites brought forth with this craving a new candy, covered in chocolate, dedicated to the proposition that all caramels are not created equal. Now we are engaged in a great caramel war, testing whether that candy, or any candy so consumed and so delectable, can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that caramel. We have come to devour a portion of that field as a final snacking place for those who here gave their lives that person might chew. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot caramelate, we cannot swallow this caramel. The brave men, hungry and full, who struggled here have chewed it, far above our caramel power to eat or to snack. The world will little note, nor long remember what we ate here, but it can never forget the caramel. It is for us the caramel, rather to be dedicated here to the delicious caramel which they who fought here have thus so far caramelled. It is rather for the caramel to be here caramelated, to the great caramel remaining before us, that from these caramel snacks we take increased caramel to that caramel for which they gave the last full caramel of caramel, that we here highly caramel, that these caramel shall not have carameled in caramel, that this caramel, under caramel, shall caramel, a new caramel of caramel, and caramel of the caramel, by the caramel, for the caramel, caramel. Thank you. You tried that. You tried that. Voice cracking right away.
No, that's staying in. That is staying in.
The Caramel Wars. We're here. It's been a long time out on the battlefield in the Caramel War, and I've lost my voice. But here we are. I'm Nick Novak with my pals Chad Hancock.
Redo the tournament.
What? Nick Geiger.
I was going to say something else. I'm just confused now. So, hello. How are you doing?
What's the tournament?
We have to redo the Oreo tournament.
Why?
There's a new Oreo flavor, the fudge covered dark chocolate. I have tried it, and it is the best Oreo I have ever had. We have to do the whole tournament over. What do you guys say?
No. I did have some of the new. There's a couple new flavors, and they had them at work, and they were both very accurate on the dunks, but I would give any dunks for accuracy. They were accurate on dunking, but they were both way too sweet. It was like the caramel something or other, and like a marshmallow one.
Yeah, the only flavor that's accurate on the dunks is the flavor that's made out of Shaquille O'Neal's ground up remains.
What?
He died?
Well, we have let's get this thing back on track. We have a guest, and it's been a long time in the making. Our guest...
Redo the tournament!
Our guest is Des. Des, welcome. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Good. Now, Des, you have bought us many snacks, and sent us a lot to chew on. And usually now tell us kind of your method of picking, because I think you have purposely picked some things that we wouldn't like. Is that true?
That is very true. I have not tried any of the snacks, well, except for the Little Debbie's. I picked them for commentary. That's basically my sole choice.
You were just trying to antagonize.
Yeah,
us, is what you're saying.
The hotter the better. I knew you'd love.
Yeah. Well, we knew you were either trying to just piss us off or trying to kill us when this 8 different Little Debbie snacks came our way. Only one of which is remotely edible. So
yeah, they're gross now.
Now
they used to be so much better. I don't know if my palate has changed or if their quality went down.
I think it's just when you're a kid, you'll eat anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, kids
True.
are stupid, and they have bad taste buds, and what can you do? Why don't these kids have sophisticated palates?
They're not nearly as articulate as us adults. They've got bad taste buds. The taste buds are bad.
I just want a 3-year-old to appreciate artisanal raisinets. That's all I'm saying.
Let's get started by hearing a little bit about your snacking preferences. So if you're walking to the grocery store and you have to pick 2 or 3 go-to brand name snacks, where do you head?
Ooh, that's a hard one. If I'm looking for something salty, I'll probably pick Doritos. There's just the original plain Doritos, not the flavored.
Wait, what is the original? The nacho
Sorry,
cheese?
can't do Cool
Nacho
Ranch.
cheese.
You mean nacho cheese?
Like the nacho cheese.
Wow, second
Yeah.
straight guest to prefer nacho cheese over Cool Ranch.
Second straight guest to be wrong.
Something's
Yeah.
in the water.
Well, to be fair, I OD'd on Cool Ranch.
You OD'd on Cool Ranch?
That's actually the
So you
second
said-
biggest killer of Wisconsin ice.
I used to have it in my lunch all the time when I was in high school, so I can't handle it.
Were you like at the
anymore.
point where you were just chopping up the Doritos into little lines and like snorting them off some hooker's back or something?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
too.
So where most people in high school were trying to hang out with the cool kids, you were trying to hang out with the Cool Ranch.
Yep. You
Humor
got
like that
it.
is why I was not hanging out with either.
If you had to go for a sweet snack, where would you head?
Probably Chips Ahoy Chewy chocolate chip
Interesting.
cookies.
Oh, really?
So you heard us say those
Mhm.
weren't good anymore,
Wow.
didn't you?
Now,
Yet you continue to eat them.
yeah.
Oh no, actually I need to catch up on that one.
Yeah, they changed the flavor, changed the recipe, which changed the flavor like a couple of years ago, and so I used to really like them, but then after the flavor change, I don't fuck with those anymore.
Gotcha. To be fair, I mostly go straight to the bakery to get my baked goods, but
Wait, what? You go to a bakery to get like bread and cookies and stuff?
well, the bakery section of like Piggly Wiggly.
So hold on.
Actually, I will say bakery sections of grocery stores can be sneaky good. You know, my Safeway has some pretty tasty like home baked double chocolate chip muffins that they make. And you know, there's a couple other things in there. But the problem is that they don't sell them in small quantities, right? Like usually if you get cookies from the grocery store, it's like a 20 pack of these big cookies, right?
Yeah.
And they're going to go bad in a couple days, so I have no choice but to eat
Well,
them all in
that's a
about
good
5
place to start.
minutes.
So where
Fuck
if you
those.
guys are going to have to get something from a bakery, your local grocery store bakery, what is maybe your most purchased baked good from the bakery?
Chocolate cake.
Speaking Chad's language there.
Oh, all right.
Hey,
You're pandering
there you
now.
go.
I love Doritos and chocolate cake, and I love terrible dick jokes. I think for me, we don't go to the. I mean, it's my bakery purchases have curtailed quite a bit because Betsy can't eat a lot of it. But I know when we were kids, we used to get like donuts and stuff a lot from the local bakery, and like my dad would get these things called peanut squares, or almost like mini yellow cakes. They're covered in like frosting and like peanuts. Now I think if I had to do it, it's usually like rolls, like hard rolls or something. If I'm getting it, like sandwiches or something like that. But I don't know. I don't often partake.
I will say the donuts at the grocery store are usually pretty foul. Maybe that's just because like I'm only going to the grocery store at like 11 o'clock at night usually or something like that. And they've probably been sitting out for a day and a half, but they never look or taste good, I think.
So what would you pick, Chad? 3/4 cake?
I get those chocolate chip muffins, double chocolate chip muffins pretty often. I was trying to branch out. I got this like banana pound cake thing like a couple weeks ago. It was like sort of in a big round, not quite a bundt cake shape, and that was okay, but I did end up eating it over the span of 4 days, like for breakfast. Like each morning for breakfast was a quarter of the cake, because my wife wanted no part of it because she eats bananas, so that was all me.
How big was the cake to begin? Like, what's a quarter?
Yeah, not that bad. Not that big. It was maybe like all I can do is this big, which like nobody listening at home can understand. But like,
He's holding his arms out as far as he can in wingspan.
yeah, I held my arms out the size of the earth. No, like I don't know, maybe like a 5-inch round, something like that.
Don't sit there and pretend you don't know cake sizes. You just recently
Yeah, I don't know.
spelled out all kinds of cakes measured to the millimeter, so you know exactly how big the cake was.
How about you, Novak? What do you get?
Just trying to be coy.
I think Chad's kind of right on with the muffins. I think the muffins are usually a safe bet. And I would either go with the chocolate or sometimes I get like the blueberry ones with the sugar on top. But
like the streusel topping. Yeah.
But I also every now and then the like prepackaged the bakery cookies are decent, and the brownies are hit or miss. But I've had decent ones there and some really bad ones. But if I had to pick my most purchased, it would probably be the muffins. So I think Chad hit on.
I've eaten a fair amount of the cookies because my kids discovered, at least by the grocery store by us, if you go to the bakery and ask for a cookie, they'll give like they have like a bag of like the pre-made, Jewel brand cookies. They'll give them a free one. And so they always, every time we go to the grocery store, they ask if we can get a cookie. And then my daughter will sometimes just eat half of it, so I'll eat the other half. And those are fine. What I've been craving a lot. What?
Maybe is that way you just keep taking her there every 10 minutes? She's bad.
She's sometimes.
Don't you want to have a cookie? Come on, you want to have a cookie, right? Have half a cookie.
You're over in the hygiene aisle just shaving your beard so you can go back up and get another cookie.
Yes, I'm shaving in the middle of the store. It's one I can only do like once a week. And then I came back with like a hat on. Like, hello, cookie, please. It's for a child.
What, some of those glasses with like a big fake nose on it?
To be clear, I think it's for children. I think adults can go up and get free cookies. So I usually just walk on my knees and go, hello, I'm an 8-year-old.
Chop your legs off, right?
Give me a fucking cookie.
And then you're just standing there after they give you the cookie and you're like, baby needs his diaper changed. And then you smile at them.
Oh, I forgot to mention, at that grocery store, they will also change the diapers of unattended children. That's another good thing we go there for.
They also give cookies to lunatics, so it's perfect. You're right. All right. Well, baked goods are great, but caramel can be even better. So let's taste some caramel. Now, we're going to rate 3 caramel snacks here on a 5-point scale. I love that, like that, indifferent to that, dislike that, and hate that. And it was previously established that the Caramel Wars took place sometime between World War One and Vietnam. So somewhere in that space.
Yes, this was a throwaway joke from over a year ago that we have now decided to turn an entire episode into.
What do you remember, Mo? Did you live through the Caramel Wars? Did your father or grandfather fight in them?
Yeah. He came out a sticky mess.
Yeah, that was common.
Where's the rim shot, Chad?
Here it is.
Wait. There you go.
So, yeah, it's kind of lost its effectiveness. Wait for it.
Sticky mess is how I'd usually describe most of my Friday nights alone.
Hey.
He was talking about jism.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's start with the Caramello. It's got caramel in the name. Should be strong in the caramel game.
Now, while we're tasting this, there is an important, very, very important news item that we need to discuss. I don't know if you guys have seen the latest reports, but Mr. Peanut is dead. As of this record, the marketing people have decided to release a commercial where he dies. And I'm sure it's just some like dumb, cynical thing, like leading up to, the Super Bowl, right? He's probably going to come back in a Super Bowl commercial with like new, like a CGI facelift and like some Botox and probably like a big ol', schlong enhancement that like spurts out peanut butter or something. But
yeah, you're probably right.
How do you guys feel about losing one of the world's premier hobos?
So I like how you felt the need to point out that it would be CGI as their I thought it was a real effects of a guy walking on a giant peanut walking around.
The only part that's CGI is his big peanut dong.
Mr. Peanut is, he's one of those mascots that I don't know when he came around, but he came around in a time when people actually like wore that shit that he has on, like a top hat and a cane.
That shit. I thought you meant like a big peanut shell. Because people did used to wear those, right?
That's why he needs a cane.
So he may be like super updated, right? So what should the new Peanut look like? Would he be like skateboarding and wearing jams, or what would he be? What would he have?
Like a hoverboard and stunner shades.
He's definitely like carrying around an iPhone and is just like ironic about everything, you know? Like if somebody's like, "Oh, I have a peanut allergy," he's like, "Okay, boomer," and then slaps his big old peanut dong on their face.
I hope he's jacked too. I have no reason why. I just hope so.
And actually, just
and I hope he comes back with a new like peanut mobile that's actually a Lambo.
Yeah. I want him to be a douchebag alt-right millennial that's driving around with a red MAGA hat on. Yeah, I just want him to hold up a can of peanuts and eat them, libtard, and throw them at people.
He just walks out and he's like, "Well, actually, if you look at the data surrounding the supposed gender wage gap," and everybody's just backing away.
He just starts flogging his hog right in front of everybody, right? Jazz, what are your thoughts on Mr. Peanut? I'm sure you have a lot of pent-up takes you couldn't wait to get rid of.
I have no comment on Mr. Peanut.
Do you like his style? The top hat, monocle, cane?
It is the 20s again, so maybe it's a comeback. He's coming back.
Coming back, yeah.
It's the 20s now. Well, it's the 1920s style, and then just come back. That's how it works, right? I was just out the other day picking out a new monocle.
Good.
It's the roaring 20s all over again.
When you were like a young woman coming of age, and you were looking at Teen Beat and that sort of thing, was Mr. Peanut sort of like on the lips of a lot of your friends? And
a lot
of discussion about him.
He had the hottest nuts around.
You said that like my mom trying to make a dirty joke.
That Teen Beat had like a centerfold that just like unfolded, and there was like Mr. Peanut doing like 69 with a Monopoly guy, like just all the hottest monocles.
Is that what you think was a Teen Beat? Was people 69 in? Teen Beat.
You thought Teen Beat was too hot? Teen Idol 69 each other?
Look, I've read a lot of Teen Beat in my day. I think that's fairly obvious.
Yeah, so it was Mr. Peanut and JTT.
Backstreet Boys.
Teen Beat is not just a magazine full of teens getting beat off. You know that, right? Unless it was. I guess I didn't read it.
All right, Caramello. This Caramello is extremely sticky. And it's
divided into like little squares that you break off, right?
Yeah.
And stuffed with caramel in the middle.
And it's got far less caramel than I was expecting.
I do remember as a kid really liking Caramello. I was excited to try it again because I haven't had it in a while. It is difficult to eat because it just goos everywhere.
Yeah, I haven't had it in a long time. This thing is hella sweet.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys remember the old commercial where he's on a ladder?
Stretch it
and
out.
And it just stretches and then he falls off?
Caramello.
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 How the fuck do you guys remember every commercial from when we were kids?
Geiger, just stretch it out.
Oh, I do.
Make like my Friday night and stretch it out. Talking about my homework.
You weren't allowed to watch a lot of TV, right, Geiger?
Correct. Yeah, we didn't watch a ton, and even what we were, it was like pre-selected. So, like, in fact, a lot of it was like older TV. Like, when I was a kid, I watched a lot of like Andy Griffith Show and Beverly Hillbilly. Like, Nick at Night TV wasn't advertising Caramello because it was advertised at like 80-year-old women. So I saw a lot of Metamucil ads. I could tell you how well Polident works, but I don't know the jingle.
Tell us.
You stick it to some fake teeth and then jam them in your mouth. Polident.
What?
I think
what was it that? Because one of our friends one of our friends has famously told us a story about not being able to watch He-Man because when He-Man raised his sword in the air and said, "I have the power," like his parents thought He-Man was saying he was more powerful than Jesus.
He wasn't holding a cross in the air, right?
Yeah.
It was a sword.
Yeah, I guess what is a
I'll
sword
say
but a
that,
sharpened cross, as I learned at summer camp all those many years ago.
I thought you were going to say they wouldn't let him watch it because it accentuated his
Oh,
underwear area.
He-Man has a
crotch
hell of a
very
V,
much so.
hell of a crotch V, I'll tell you that.
He's got.
he was all over Team Beat, Prince Adam.
He has the power, and it's in his loincloth.
Reminds me of another cartoon reaction that Geiger. We were recently talking about this, but I don't think I've told it on the podcast of going to Disney World with my dad, who's just like a really blue collar, like sort of angry kind of guy. Like he can be super friendly until he thinks somebody's in the wrong, and then he gets pissed off. So we're at Disney World. He's never seen the movie Frozen, but my kids are all into Frozen, and everything around is about Frozen. So there's 7 different rides. He goes in the mall and watches the shows, and he's like slowly learning the story of Frozen. So we come walking out of one of the shows, and this is just to me. He's just saying this to me. Says, I really like that Anna, but what's Elsa's problem? She got a stick up her ass or something? I'm like, Dad, this is a fucking cartoon character. I don't know. He was legitimately angry that Elsa was cold and unwelcoming.
Which one's Elsa, the blonde or the brunette?
The blonde.
She's the one with the ice powers.
I've also never seen
And the
Frozen.
stick up her ass.
The one with the stick up her ass.
What were your dad's thoughts on the Goofy Snowman?
I don't know. He wanted to 69 him. I don't know. I'm not sure.
You want to give him the old Tiger beat?
It's like, oh, that carrot nose would really tickle my asshole.
We were at you had a birthday party for your daughters. Just one. I think that's the only
did.
time
I'm a
you
good
ever
dad.
celebrated their birthday. Yeah. What's that?
I'm a good dad. I gave him a birthday party.
Yeah. And it was like Disney themed, and you had Disney plates, and I was behind your dad in line to get food, and he like picks up a plate, and it's got like a Disney princess wearing this big flowing dress, and he makes like a big joke out of trying to look underneath the girl's skirt on the plate. It's like nudging me. I'm like, it's a cartoon of fucking Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Like, but I looked, and surprisingly, on the back of the plate was her snatch. It was really fucking weird. I did not expect that.
So the real story was that he spent the entire rest of the party just looking under every plate he could find, just determined to find one that had a backside to it.
I mean, in a way, it was such a dad joke, and I was definitely cracking up. Probably didn't help, but encourage him. But
Des, what are your thoughts on Frozen?
I could let it go.
No.
what the
These
one-liner?
one-liners ready.
We're working out the rim shot here tonight. Yeah, dude.
No,
My finger's
it's an
gonna
okay
fall off.
movie, but it's no Moana.
Yeah.
So,
Are you a Disney fan? Do you watch Disney movies?
yeah, I'm a Disney-aholic. I have Disney
got that
Plus.
Disney Plus?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to see that other movie? You want to? Well, I got to do this right.
Can't wait for this. Gotta say it now, or else make up something new.
Waiting.
You Moana see it more than Frozen?
What? That's what we waited for?
I didn't say it was good.
Wow.
Hey, rim shot me, fucker. Give me my rim shot.
No.
Give me the baseball. Give me the baseball
No.
theme.
You did not earn it.
Okay, let's talk about Caramello. So, Des, you're going to start us off. Tell us your rating. You tell us what you like, don't like,
right.
and when you give the rating, use the word "dat" because it's been a big consensus. It's been a big issue
Dat.
that guests are coming on and saying, "I like that," and so yeah, it's been an issue.
Oh,
So Tiger Beat.
you got to put the D in it.
I caught your facial expression there. That was okay. I thought we were going to be too dirty for you. Jesus, I feel offended.
No, I used to live on the other side of the line.
What line? Sockville?
What? The D's everywhere?
Yeah, pretty much. Caramello I am very disappointed.
Mm.
The chocolate is very, it has a really bad aftertaste, and the caramel's too sweet. I don't know. It shattered all my 80s dreams.
So what's the final verdict?
I'm gonna go with dislike that.
All right, a dislike to start.
Yeah.
Well done.
Geiger, what do you think?
Yeah, Des isn't wrong. I don't know who could eat this whole thing. It's so sweet. Then the chunks.
Well, you're not supposed to because each bar is 3 servings. It says.
Oh.
What?
I've eaten 2
Oh.
servings.
But there's 4 squares.
Oh, maybe you guys got the smaller
what'd you
one.
get?
Yeah, I don't know.
I got one that's 6 squares.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a king size. Oops.
So did I, and I ate half of it.
Okay.
It's very, very sweet. I actually think the chocolate's fine. It's the Cadbury chocolate. I think the caramel is what I'm feeling the aftertaste of, but I guess I couldn't confirm that really. To me, it's also just hard to eat because it is super gooey, and the caramel just like the minute you pull it apart, it just strings everywhere. I had to like get some off my pants. There was some on the like table here. It's all on my fingers, probably in my beard. So it tasted fine. It's just a little cumbersome to eat, and it's way too sweet. I would give it an indifferent to that. It tastes okay. And like I said, I think I have some nostalgia for it when I was younger, but probably not something I would reach for real quickly again.
All right, Chad, what do you think?
I think I agree with that. The thing is like the only way. So I ate 2 squares, and the only way I could find to eat it was to put the entire square into my mouth at once, because the first square I bit like half of it, and it was just so stringy and like, stretching out and everything. I mean, it was living up to its name of stretching it out, and it was obnoxious to eat. So then I had to pop the whole square in my mouth for the second one, and it's too much. It's like way too sweet. So it's kind of like overwhelming in that way. But the flavor is not all that bad if you can get over that it is too sweet. So this is a little disappointing as well, but I'm going to go middle of the road, indifferent to that.
Okay, I am going to side closer to Des here. It's not enjoyable to eat. It's a chore. The caramel's way too liquidy. It's when I go for something that's caramel, I like something that's definitely much more put together. Actually, one of mine, when I opened it, one of the squares was cracked open and completely bare of caramel. It had all leaked out into the rest of the container, so that's how liquidy it is. And I also agree that chocolate's not great, so I'm going to give a dislike. So 2 indifference, 2 dislikes, not a strong start at all. Let's move on to the 100 grand next. 100 grand is almost one of those things that I've never pulled it off the shelf, but I've had them at Halloween and just from various, like a candy bowl sitting out somewhere. But I guarantee I've never bought a single bar like this from a shelf. Now, is this a regular for any of your rotations?
No.
Nope.
My son actually really likes them. I think he got them at Trick or Treat. So he's asked for some on occasion, but I have never really gone out of my way to buy one.
It's caramel, chocolate, and crispy crunchies. Does that mean like Rice Puffs or something?
There's a lot of caramel in the middle.
Oh, mine is divided into 2 bars.
Yep, mine too.
Yeah. Twist to close.
Twist to
It's
close, motherfuckers!
A big old block of caramel surrounded by chocolate, and Geiger, your favorite, the crisp rice.
I just don't get it.
We know you hate.
Chad looked amazed for a second there.
The flavor was not at all what I was expecting when I bit into this, especially coming out of that caramello. It is, I mean, it does say chewy caramel on the package, but it's a lot chewier than I was expecting.
Okay. So Chad, why don't you start this one off? Let us know what you think of the 100 grand.
Ooh, this is a hard pass for me. I think the consistency is really bad. I think that chocolate is gross. It is like a very low quality chocolate, in my opinion. I think it's way worse than the Caramello chocolate. The caramel inside is bad. The Rice Puffs usually I'm fine with. Like, I think they add a good consistency, but here they're like adding nothing at all. This is a bad bar. It is getting a very strong dislike that from me.
All right, a dislike. I'll go. I don't feel as negatively as you do about it. I would eat this 100 times out of 100 over the Caramello.
Wow.
I think the crisp rice actually helps it a little. It adds a little texture that otherwise would just be a little too plain and boring. We once ate the Milky Way Simply Caramel, and I didn't feel that positive about that. It just wasn't enough to it. So I think this adds a little something. I'm going to give it, I don't quite like it. I'm going to give it a kind of a high level indifferent to dat. So a dislike, an indifferent. Des, you are up. What do you think of 100 grand?
As I choke on it.
It's a positive review already.
Right?
Killed me.
I do like it did pretty much. It got stuck. No. The caramel tastes a little better than the caramello, but I'm with Geiger. Rice crispy chunks and chocolate are gross. However, it's way better than the caramello, so I'm gonna go right down the middle, indifferent with that.
Okay. So we've got two indifferents, a dislike. Now, Geiger, if you feel even indifferent about this, it's going to take the lead. What do you think?
So, if we were talking about an actual 100 grand, it'd be like that. Like that's a sizable chunk of money. But that's not what we're talking about, fellas.
That's only a like from you is 100 grand.
I got rich taste, bro.
Yeah, like
I don't crawl out of bed for less than $200.
What's your bankroll looking like these days?
It's the modern day Mr. Peanut.
Have you been hoarding all the podcast revenue? Is that what's going on?
Right. All the ad revenue we're pulling in from, I don't know, when Des paid us to do the podcast. I think she's the only one that would do that at this point. It's fine.
You mean Chester's not paying out?
Ooh, yeah, we haven't gotten that sponsorship.
We haven't really been able to fully fund that luncher concept we've been working on. It's okay. To me, it's just real one note. I'm with Jad. I don't think the chocolate's that good. You guys know my stance on the puffed rice. It's just texture, and it doesn't do much for me. Even the caramel doesn't really taste like caramel. Like I agree that the caramello was way too sweet, but at least it tasted like something. Like this one I tried to isolate the caramel, and it just seemed like it was just generically sweet. Didn't necessarily even taste like caramel. I like the caramello better, and I think for that reason, I'm going to give the 100 grand a dislike dat.
Ooh, we've got a tie right now. You know you've been doing this.
I think it's safe to say that in the Caramel Wars, both of these would be dead on the beach, like in the opening Saving Private Ryan style invasion. They would just immediately, as soon as they step on out of the boat, right?
I would definitely
They
say
get
that.
blasted right in the head with a gun. That's how it would happen.
With a peanut gun?
Is that a type of gun?
Sure.
That's right.
This is our lore to make up at this point, so you go right ahead.
Is there something called a peanut gun?
No, but there is a potato gun.
Oh, okay.
No, it's true.
But if Mr. Peanuts from the original Caramel Wars, he'd have a peanut gun. Yeah.
which he is. Which has been made
Which
clear.
he is.
Detailed in his Team Beat profile.
So wait a minute. You're saying Mr. Peanut would have to have a peanut gun, which it fires pieces of himself?
Sure.
That'd be like me saying I have a human gun. That's not how that works.
Maybe not your human guns.
Right. I like how Des is getting so deep into, now guys, we established it's canon that Mr. Peanut was there during the war, okay?
He was there.
You're our continuity checker for this fucking inside joke we made up.
All right, segment time. Geiger, what you got?
Yep.
Does it have something to do with either caramel or wars?
No. Well, kind of. So, I mean, what did our forefathers in the Caramel Wars do, if not fight for our right to continue living as free humans, right? We owe everyone a great debt. Otherwise, we would all be slaves to our caramel overlords. I guess that's another thing we didn't establish. Is this various caramels fighting each other, or caramels attacking the human race? We had to fight them all.
No, it was definitely humans, because the joke was we ate this big giant bar of caramel, and Chad was like,
Oh, that's right, we're hoarding it. That's
I
right.
was asking why people had so much caramel on their hands.
All this liquid gold we're sitting on. So yeah, my grandfather didn't fight to protect my caramel reserves, so I could just treat them like assholes later. So, but then I realized that humans are garbage, and so I found these are stories from Reader's Digest that are bizarre food stories. So I thought we could read these off. They're just kind of small synopsises, and then we could pick out synopses, whatever. So these odd, outrageous food stories might make you lose your appetite. It doesn't taste a day over 19. 2 Australian teens went to a McDonald's where they bought 3 quarter-pounders. They ate 2 and saved the last for a friend who never showed up. But being pals, they held on to it for him. That was 20 years ago, and they still have the burger. Said one of the teens, it looks the same as the day we bought it. Now, I want to know why they're calling them teens. They're not.
He's not a teen anymore, so why is they calling him a teen?
They
Eternally
also
young.
cryogenically froze themselves, so they'd be ready to eat the burger when.
Said one of the teens, let's 69.
Said the teens, we were too busy reading Tiger Beat to eat the hamburger. Pass me the Kleenex. All right. This one is gross. Some people like their food so much, they want to wear it. The Meg C. Jewelry Gallery in Lexington, Kentucky, introduced a line of necklaces and earrings made from gold-plated KFC chicken bones, ranging in price from $130 to $200. Come on now. Fucking weirdos.
That's bizarre.
Well, Lady Gaga wore a meat dress, so...
Was it real meat, or was it just pictures of meat?
Yeah.
Pictures of
No,
meat.
it's real meat.
She taped pictures of meat to her body.
I'm being mocked for that. It's
Team
much
meat.
more sane to wear actual meat on your body. Is that what you're claiming?
I
No,
feel like
it's
gold-plated
disgusting.
chicken bones. So if dead Mr. Peanut is going to come back with like a new CGI peanut hog, right? So
Right.
this is what dead
Right.
Foghorn Leghorn would come back with, a new CGI gold-plated chicken bone hog, right? That tracks.
Coming back with a new hog. Mr. Peanut never had a penis at any point. It was a peanut.
No time like the present, my man.
I would love for the planters to just come out with this mascot, and it's just this huge visible penis, and they don't mention anything about it. He's just walking around in the commercial like regular. No one says anything. What? No, I see nothing wrong with
He's
that.
just a peanut walking around with like a second slightly smaller pink peanut swinging between his legs and like no commentary. Like, I'm not saying it has to look, and it doesn't have to be
You have
all
a weird
veiny.
perception of what a
You
penis
know.
is. So your
Pink
penis
peanut.
is
I
just a
know.
smaller
What are you
version of
talking
yourself hanging between your legs, like a miniature Chad. Meow, guys,
That's
you fucked
that's
up.
right.
As you're going into someone's vagina. Okay. Food porn. Speaking of, there must not be much to watch on Korean television because foodies there pay big bucks to watch other people's binge eat online. People enjoy the vicarious pleasure they get when they can't find that food at night or are on a diet. This is one entrepreneur, and they should know her site rakes in over $9,000 a month from advertising and donations. So just watching someone stuff their face and just people sit there online.
I have actually heard that before about that
Really?
being very popular in Korea, where there's like a lot of people that just have websites and they just stream
That
themselves
doesn't
eating, and people
seem
watch
nuts
that.
to me. I mean, it's no. To me, that's no worse. I think no less of a person doing that than who says they like watched Paradise Island or some like stupid ass show. I'd be like, yeah, that's both equal waste of time.
I mean, we have shows like that. Like, I used to
I
watch a bunch
get-
of Man
well-
versus Food, which is basically that, right? Like, the
Yeah,
guy just
I guess
shoving,
you
like,
watch that
10
just for,
hot
like,
dogs in his mouth or
The
whatever.
hilarious humor and stuff, right? Oh, de toilette. No matter how much we adore food, sometimes the love isn't reciprocal. So a Frenchman, Christian Poincheval, has created an all-natural herbal pill that he insists covers up the odor of one's bodily gases with the lovely aroma of roses and violets. In December, the Father Christmas pill gives one's wind a hint of chocolate. It's a nice present for the festive season. So this guy made a pill that apparently makes your farts smell like chocolate. That'd be... I hope.
It's about
I mean, I
time.
really hope, because I gas it out a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. But, like, what is that pill doing to your
Just
insides
coat
in order to,
shit.
like, make that happen,
No?
right? It's just killing all the bacteria as it goes all the way down so that, like, the food just comes in, like,
Yep.
out exactly the same way it went in. Like, just full hot dog
That's
comes
much
out your butt.
creepier. Fucking food transformer.
Somehow reassembles itself in your stomach.
All right. You smell good enough to eat. Of course, it's not enough to wear your food. Sometimes you want to be enveloped by it. So the makers of Stilton Cheese created a perfume, Eau de Stilton, which boasts an earthy and fruity aroma that lets one fulfill her dreams by smelling like a wheel of blue cheese.
Is one of these stories going to be the Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle?
I just heard about that the other day, probably from the same place you did, I'm guessing.
What's that?
She just, her stupid fucking scam company Goop just came out with this like candle that when she was smelling it, she said it like smelled like her vagina or something. And it's obviously just smells like some random shit or whatever. And so they marketed the candle, and it's called like this candle smells like my vagina or something stupid like that. And it like sold out instantly. It was like $80 a candle.
I'm sure it's like all these fucking pervs.
Yeah, was it? And it just started selling like crazy because people thought that's what it smelled
Yeah,
like.
because I bought all 80 of them and banged them. That's what you do with candles, right?
Yeah, I mean, I bought 100 of them and none of them smelled like that, so I don't get it.
I bought a bunch of peanut-shaped candles, assuming it's Mr. Peanut's hog. Well, just smelled like peanut, it turned out. All right, and then who doesn't love airline food? A German grocery store has introduced a delivery service called
Most
Air
people.
Food One. Customers receive meals that match the business class menu currently available on airlines. The spread, says the company spokesman, is a lot like the one you might cook yourself, quote, depending on how well you cook.
Ooh.
But I don't know. Airline food is normally shitty. I mean, I know you liked your Qantas food, right?
Well, that was because it was prepackaged stuff. Like the actual hot food that they serve you, I highly recommend no one ever eat any of that unless it is like a prepackaged thing, right? Like the meal, like maybe like a prepackaged muffin comes with it or some yogurt or something like that. That's okay to eat, but anything else that they've like pre-prepared, don't do it. And here's my proof. On my honeymoon, coming back from 2 weeks in Ethiopia, and like near the end of the trip, I'd gotten a little bit of food poisoning, and I think I told the story a long time ago on the podcast. And I was like had the last day, I was basically like puking.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, in the store. But anyways, and so my wife was like all smug about like, oh, well, I didn't get sick and you did, and blah blah blah. So then we get on the Air France flight home, and I'm like, okay, but like, don't eat the airline food. Like, I'm telling you, don't eat it. She ate it, and then like just a little bit later, she was in the airplane bathroom vomiting, and I was like, "Fucking told you, fucking told you."
What a great
no
husband.
sympathy.
The great husband.
And then I went home and jacked off to a candle I bought.
I used to be a flight attendant actually for business class, and we only served peanuts. So
Really?
the
Oh,
delivery
no.
boy
Full
would just be
circle.
bringing
What airline?
Mr. Peanut. Yeah. American Eagle.
Oh.
It was the Regal Beagle.
Did you have to deal with assholes on there all the time? Like, what's the worst story you had from some...
And what was it like being a flight attendant?
It was awful. I only made it 4 months, and then I flew back to Hawaii and quit. It was great.
What was so awful
No,
about
it was just stressful. Well, the worst part was the pay. Since I was the low man on the totem pole, you only get your max amount, which was at the time $1,000 a month. And I lived in New York City, so that was rent.
Yeah, right.
It was not all they it was not as glamorous as they made it sound when the recruiters came around.
And I feel like airline passengers are some of the worst people. Like, I used to fly a lot, and I have seen some just like absolute shitbags on planes where, like, I mean, I guess I sort of understand it because they're like, it's an uncomfortable environment, like everybody's miserable or whatever. But like, that doesn't mean you can't like treat the flight attendants, you know, as human beings and stuff. But
right.
Well, but they are kind of like your air servants, right? They're there to please me and attend to my needs.
We're there to save your ass, not kiss your ass.
Well, I demand both.
It's Mr. Peanut's job.
So did anyone like puke on you or do anything stupid in the plane? Did anyone like you had to like slap somebody or something? What happened? Nothing good?
No. I did have someone asking a little bit too many questions about the plane's engine. As we were flying
Why
into
is it on
Washington,
fire?
D.C.
Shut the fuck up.
I did have to tell my pilots, and I was not allowed to leave my station in front of the pilot door for that flight.
was he like where's the best place in the engine to put a bomb?
It was
that kind of
like
thing?
he was asking about all kinds of gears and other things about the engine that I was like, dude, Google it. I'm sure it's on there.
This sounds like a mechanically inclined man.
And so then they made you stand in front of the door. You were like the first line
Yeah.
of defense against this guy. You're like,
Yeah.
you there? You're making $30 today. Stand in front of the door.
Yep.
That has changed.
Pretty much.
They put the smallest woman on the entire fucking plane in front of the door. I don't know how. Thankfully, she knew nothing about the gears. Now I got to figure that out and somehow fight my way past this vicious-looking woman.
So you're saying whatever you do, don't ask the flight attendant about the engine's gears.
Don't do it.
Okay. Good to know.
All right, let's finish this war off. Let's get a call of truce here, and we've got a traitor in the midst. Now we've done the Caramel Wars episode, and we have a snack with no
Yep.
caramel.
Chad bought this and said specifically we were going to use it in the Caramel Wars episode. So what do you now get to tell Chad that he did?
Well, you fucked up.
That's it. Got some revenge.
Okay. Point of order. I did not fuck up. Okay. The reason I bought this was because someone else had already put this snack down on the planning dock under Caramel Wars. And I'm pretty sure that was Novak.
It may have been me. I guess I just assumed. Now, here's part of the issue: is you hear the word Twix, and this is why it's already starting behind the 8 ball. Is you put the word Twix on the package, and if I said what's in a Twix, I just said name me what's in a Twix. Caramel would be the first thing you say, right? So
Right.
A Twix with no caramel, is it even a Twix anymore? I suggested it is not.
Yeah. And so then I bought it and said, okay, these are our caramel snacks, but I had not actually looked at it until like I got home later, and then I texted you guys and was like, oh, I don't actually think there's caramel in this. It's just cookies and cream on the inside.
This is like opening up Teen Beat, thinking that it's Jonathan Taylor Thomas, but instead, in the middle, in the 69 position, is just that youngest kid from Home Improvement. And you're like, what the fuck?
That no one knew his name.
Right. They still don't.
Instead, it was Tim the Toolman Taylor.
It's actually
In
I was
just
gonna
a
say
tool belt.
instead it's just the top half of Wilson's head.
This is quite the Home Improvement orgy.
That's the neighbor's name, right? Wilson? I don't know. I never watched that show.
This is interesting because the cream part, so the bottom, the cookie is the same part where a cookie would be on a Twix, except it's a much darker, more chocolatey cookie. Now the top, where the caramel should be,
Right.
is the cream, and this cream, well, it looks like the white with black Oreo kind of looking cream, has a very caramely texture to it, like surprisingly caramely texture for cream.
Are you just trying to save it?
Yeah, I just bit off just the top in order to isolate the cream flavor. It is definitely like it is definitely not like a typical Oreo consistency or like when you get some other kind of cookies and cream things.
Okay, let's Des, why don't you start us off? So we've got the cookies and cream Twix. What do you think?
This one's a weird one. I normally like regular Twix, so I was very curious about this before I was given this snack to rate today. Like, it has its brief moments of actually tasting like cookies and cream, which is weird. And yeah, it kind of does have a caramely like texture. I'm gonna go with a high indifferent to that.
Okay. And indifferent to start, so this could get interesting. Geiger, what do you think?
I think it's not getting helped by the fact that I've already had a bunch of like sweet candy already, so it's almost like more of this. It's almost like fatigue at this point. Like,
No one asked you to eat the entire Caramello.
I did.
No one requested you to.
It's probably not helping that I'm almost catatonic from diabetic shock at this point because I had a Caramello for dinner and then I had another one here for the podcast.
Did you eat the whole 100 grams?
No, I ate one of the sections. So I've had one section. I've had half the Caramello, one of those sections, and one whole Twix bar. And I didn't actually eat dinner in my defense, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I got all the food groups: caramel, chocolate,
Rice
cream.
Puffs.
Yeah, right. Or crisp rice. Yeah. It's good. It sounds. I wish it was a regular Twix. It's not as good as a regular Twix. It is, again, I think one of these things that just becomes generically sweet. I like the cream. I like the consistency. Okay, I agree. It's not as crunchy as I was expecting a cookie to be, or even like I feel like the cookies in this cookies and cream are not even as crunchy as like a regular Twix bar is when they have that cookie in there. The good thing about a Twix to me is you get some saltiness from the caramel and the cookie, and then the chocolate is sweet. This is more just all sweet. It isn't bad. I'm trying to think. I'm gonna give it, and I'm probably gonna go with Deza. It's indifferent. It's good. It's fine. It's solid, but I don't. It's a high indifferent. It's somewhere in between and like that and indifferent to that. I will go indifferent because I feel a little more strongly that way. But it's not bad. It's just a little too one note for me.
Two indifference.
Fucking how bougie I've become. This Twix bar is too one note.
Earlier, you said, I didn't point it out, but I just thought it was funny to say. You all know my stance on crisp rice. Like, you got to the point where you have a stance on crisp rice.
I have a well-known position on crisp rice. I won't be budging anytime soon, gentlemen.
If Geiger ever runs for politics, that's going to be like the first thing on his agenda is like, my stance on crisp rice, shitty. That's what we're running on.
Well, I would make me the world's most inessential politician, and also it's the least articulate.
But my favorite immediately. I would vote for that guy.
I think the policy's shit. Are you going to vote for me, Novak?
I have no opinion on immigration. Let's talk about my real love, the topic I love to talk about the most, crisp rice. Let me try to steer this conversation back to crisp rice.
All right, Chad, what do you think?
I'm surprised that you guys are so sort of like indifferent to this thing. I also really like a Twix bar. This has that same really good Twix chocolate. I think the inside is delicious. This combination is really working for me. I ate the whole half of the bar. I'm very much looking forward to eating the second half of this later. I think this is delicious. Love that.
Oh,
what in the world? Oh. Now, here's the problem. There's nothing I can do about it either. I was prepared to drag this thing to hell because just to keep a non-caramel candy from winning the caramel wars. Oh, who won your caramel episode? Yeah, this is like Shaquille O'Neal winning Miss America pageant. It just makes no sense.
Or Caramello Anthony.
Chad, you make a good point that it does taste very Twixy for whatever reason. I bashed it before saying there's no way this is a Twix, and they found a way to make it taste like a Twix. That being said, still not good. I don't want to eat any more of it. I don't generally like cookies and cream candies. Now, it is my favorite ice cream flavor in the world, cookies and cream. I just don't think it translates that well to candy bars. Like, for example, the most famous of them, and which some of my family members love, is the Hershey's cookies and cream bar. That's probably the one I see the most of.
It's white chocolate. It's no good.
It's disgusting.
Just as you all say, I kind of feel that way about this. I get that vibe from this. So I'm actually giving it a dislike dat. So it is still, however, the winner for today. So Benedict Arnold is the hero of the war. I don't know if that means we have to do another caramel episode or that we just we are not allowed to do a caramel episode again.
So I guess it also
we just need to plan a little
what
better.
Does it mean in the context of our war where people were going to war over caramel but wound up the most valuable resource on earth was cookies and cream Twix? Is that how it panned out then? I guess I don't know how to wedge that in there.
I mean, isn't this an overall commentary on the futility of war?
That's probably it.
Yeah. It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Pretty deep, man. Pretty
It does. I have to ask
deep.
real quick. The entire time we've been doing this podcast, your cat has been sleeping there, and I don't think it's moved one. Do you just want to poke it and make sure it's alive? Okay.
She's alive.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, she turned around. See?
It just had moved. It's like laying there like a sack of shit.
She's
not moving.
good.
Fucking lazy piece of shit.
She goes to bed with me at 9 o'clock as well.
It's literally what every one of our listeners looks like right now.
Harry.
Comatose.
Just passed out.
From all the sugar.
You have an orange cat.
Yeah.
Or orangish, it looks like. So what is your cat's name? And please tell me it's Mrs. Peanut.
Oh, I wish it was. Her name is Bella. She came with the name, so
Bella.
Yeah.
Just it sounds like Novak's dad would be interested in getting a little peek there.
oh,
Isn't Bella from the Beauty and the Beast?
Close.
Bella's, but yeah,
Oh
close enough.
shit! I fucked up. It's Belle. Oops.
Yeah, that was the problem with the joke. Otherwise, it worked perfect.
Geiger, before we send everybody home, how can they contact us?
If you have any stories of bravery and valor from the great Caramel Wars that tore this nation asunder, if you have any authentic caramel from the time period that we said the war was in that I now can't recall, you can get a hold of us at youtrydat@gmail.com, hashtag youtrydat on Twitter, our You Tried Dat group on Facebook. We are on Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, Stitcher, anywhere that you listen to your podcasts. Please let us know what you think. Give us your feedback. That's the same thing. Send in questions for the feedbag or mailbag or whatever we're calling it.
That's what we call it?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck. It's late at night.
It's called You
Yeah.
Asked
Oh,
Dad.
okay. Yeah, we've got. TM. I forgot. Yeah. Yeah, no, let us know. And if you can, please write a review for wherever you're listening to the podcast. Des, how many reviews are just you saying you like it over and over again?
Maybe one or two.
So all.
So, that's all. That's twice as many as I even was aware we had.
I think you have 3 reviews.
One of them's me.
One of them's me and one of them's Geiger.
And I trashed us. Like, these guys suck.
All right, before we go, everyone has 30 seconds. We're all going to pitch what the new Mr. Peanut looks like. You don't have to use your whole 30 seconds, but it's the new Mr. Peanut for the new generation. He's going to appear in a Super Bowl commercial. What does he look like? Geiger, you're going to be the first pitch man. So think about what you think Peanut's going to look like. Right. I want to make you look like an asshole. So let you go first.
Well, I think Chad had kind of a nice line on it where he's just like a disaffected youth. Like, he's got that sweepy emo hair that he just fluffs up indifferently. He's got a pop collar and a jean jacket and a 6-pack and a huge veiny dick. And
of course,
like, so big he trips on it. Like, he uses it as a cane. Like, that's the new style of cane. It's just his dick cantered off to the side and it's constantly erect.
He's got that old side dick.
He just communicates in emojis, and he's on Vine. That's not something anymore, right? No, TikTok. He's on TikTok.
The one you're looking for.
Yeah.
He's the only one left on Vine.
He's the last user of Vine. He's a Vine influencer because he's the only one there, and it's just pictures of his giant vine.
All right, Des, you're up next. You don't have to. You can, however you want him to look. You don't have to mention his dick, but if you want to, you can.
But if you do mention, please tell us how many fans.
5.
Whoa!
5 symmetrically placed
5.
around like a pentagon.
That shit is veiny. That is a vascular penis.
Let's see. How would the youth like him? I picture him like skydiving in the commercial and then landing on his surfboard and riding in. He's replaced his cane with the surfboard, and he's got long flowing locks now. He went from being bald to having
Everyone
hair.
must eat a hairy peanut. That's what.
I'm gonna say, in order to help the company not have to do this whole thing over again in 40 years, make him really futuristic. So he's wearing like a bright silver jumpsuit, and he has a flying car. So
he looks like George Jetson or something.
He's from the very far future. That is my pitch. Chad, you're last up. What do you think?
So I actually think he stays dead. They bring back his granddaughter, who is like an Instagram influencer style, right? So she's walking around and she's always like pitching the latest makeup line and like living some fake life that's like impossible to uphold and making everyone else on the internet feel bad in the process. Something like that.
So this advertising logo is going to be advertising for makeup instead.
That's right. Just crush up the peanuts and spread them all over your face.
That's a great idea. The one issue, if you're going to do the granddaughter, is she can't have a dick, so they're going to immediately shut that down.
There's no reason for a dick. She can have 2 big old peanut titties.
Some peacups.
5 veins in each.
I don't think the world's ready for 10 veins in a commercial, so I think it's a little too forthcoming.
Yeah, we're only up to 7.
All right. Well, we want to thank...
The venometer is stuck at 7 right now.
We want to thank Des. Des, thank you so much for coming on and for all you
thank you.
you've done supporting the podcast.
No problem.
All right, so that's going to be it for this time, but we'll be back next time when we'll be trying out 3 brand new snacks.
Deuces.
Yep.
Bye.